Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Bank Shot DJs podcast with your host, Yishin Yaish, aka Denny the Shrine. Denny, what is good?
I'm Yished. Good to be back.
Yeeshed.
Friday, April 5th, 8:46 p.m. It's been about a month since our last episode, and a lot of good basketball has happened since then. It was a special March for us.
We've been busy,
yeah.
to say the least.
Getting to watch our Cougs playing the big dance this year. See our boys on TV, cheer them on. It was a special month for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we're approaching the end of the NBA regular season, and there's a lot to recap, and there's a lot to look forward to. But before we do that, Matt, let's just kind of talk real quick about March Madness and everything that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. But before that,
yes,
Denny, you know what we got to do. Before I go insane, it's only 12:30. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right. For those who don't know, we take a shot on this show that we're called the Bank Shot DJs for nothing. Some Apple Crown for your day. We're taking a shot for the Seattle Supersonics, so a great association we like to call the NBA. Brings our fabulous Seattle Supersonics back. Denny got this amazing new sweater. We went thrifting this last weekend, and Denny got this awesome sweatshirt that has, read out the boys on there. You got Nate McMillan, the glove. Who's 14 again?
we got Detlef, 11.
Detlef 11. Who's 14?
We got Sam Perkins.
And then Rain Man.
Yep.
And then we also went thrifting and got these awesome Final Four hats, NCAA in 1995. And in 1995, the great Final Four March Madness was brought here into the great Seattle, the Pacific Northwest, played in the infamous King Dome, which featured the North Carolina Tar Heels versus the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And the champions, the UCLA Bruins, defeating the Arkansas Razorbacks. So, yeah, why we've been gone, because if you're a basketball fan, you're listening to this probably, and March is the greatest month there is for basketball. As you know, you have the NBA season continuing on. You're going down to the grind, and you have March Madness, it's called Madness for a reason, So,
and it was special just being able to see the Cougs play, get a win against Drake.
Yeah,
seeing our boys, Cadio, Tholm, Gurm,
absolutely destroying it out there, and they're
cheering them on.
Their pinstripe overalls, just in the crowd, and they got shown on TV multiple times, and it was absolutely worth it. And they were really there to support our boys. Wish I could have been there, but I got sick, and I just, time moves fast when you're not really trying to go to Omaha. But I respect our boys for going out there and supporting them. They needed it, and it just really shows our true colors as Cougs fans. A
lot of good basketball in the tournament too.
Yeah, lots of good basketball. Oh my gosh, this is a crazy
Jack Golke from Oakland.
NC State, I called at the beginning. NC State making a run.
Yep.
NC State is still in the Final Four, baby. They're going. Zags made it a long ways before ultimately losing to the fucking shit show called Zach Edey. God, he pisses me off. God, it's so fucking good. Nobody. I'm really hoping DJ Burns puts up a battle against Zach Edey in the Final Four tomorrow. But, oh man, it's going to be tough.
Before we go to NBA, predictions for tomorrow.
I'm riding the Cinderella story. I'm taking NC State. Purdue's gonna choke. They choked last year.
And what about the other game?
It's UConn versus Bama.
Yep.
UConn's gonna beat them, and then
So who's taking it Monday night then?
UConn's taking it all.
UConn. Yeah.
As much as it kills me, it's just like I literally thought
pretty dominant right now.
I literally thought going into this tournament, UConn looked way too good to be true, and it's just not true. They are true. They're literally just so good. They're defeating their opponents by like a wide margin. It was a close game, the last game, and then they went on a 30-0 run and just completely destroyed. Oh my God, it was nasty.
UConn is back at the top of college basketball.
And yep,
been a little bit, but they're back.
Another season, another no perfect bracket ever gonna happen. Will it, Denny? Will a perfect bracket ever happen?
We'll see.
Predict the year right now.
The year?
Predict the year if my perfect bracket is going to happen right now.
You go 2035.
2035?
2035.
All right, clock it in.
Yep. It's a little close to say that. Well, I mean, it can happen at any time. So we'll
Yeah.
say 2035.
All right, I'll take 2035.
Yep.
I like it.
But let's get into the NBA though.
Yes, sir.
Teams got about 3 to 4 games left. Today we're going to start it off just discussing our teams and seeing how we feel about them entering the postseason. We're going to give our takeaways from the NBA regular season, and we're going to talk play and positioning. A lot of good stuff to talk about. Let's start off with our team updates, Matt. The Thunder, how do you feel about them entering the postseason right now?
I mean, obviously it sucks right now because Shane Jacobs has been out the last 2-3 games. So 3 games now. And it's but we got it done. So Shea missed 2 games with quad injury, but then came back and hit the game-winning shot over the Knicks over Jalen Brunson. Well, it wasn't over it was over McBride, but Jalen Brunson had a massive hard layup that could have been a foul right before that, but they didn't call it. And Shea just absolutely clutched in the veins. Oh my god, dude! Ice in his motherfucking veins, and just said good
They're a
night.
game back from first right now.
They're only
Thunder.
back, and they've lost their last 3 in a row.
Yep.
And that's due to no J-Dubs, no Shea. But I felt good though. We played Philadelphia, and Chet dropped 22 points, and that was Joel Embiid's first game back since being out for injury. And so I felt good about that. We were literally winning the entire game until the last minute, pretty much. So felt good about that. Didn't do too hot against the Celtics. It's the Celtics, and we had nobody, and they played all their starters. So it's like, what can you do there?
Are they going to come back? SGA and J-Dub?
I have no idea. I honestly, I've been trying to look at things. They should be back at least next week. I'm hoping. I think both of them are day to day still at this point. I think it's a little bit of resting them to be good for the playoffs, and I think it's. I think they're just both. They've gone through a lot. They played almost every single game this season up until the last couple of weeks. So, like not a lot of people can say that in this league right now. So, yeah, but I feel good. I'm like, even though we've been losing, we're pretty much got 1, 2, or 3 secured.
Yeah,
and I'm totally okay with that. And it's nice because we have the tiebreaker over the Denver Nuggets if it comes to that. And I don't think we have the tiebreaker versus the T-Wolves, but the Nuggets have the tiebreaker of the T-Wolves. So it's like a fun situation we dealt with, like with the Astros, Rangers, and Mariners last year in baseball. Well, that's another reason we've been gone for so long because baseball started up. Welcome baseball season, but this is a basketball podcast, so we'll hold off on that.
But to continue the small sidebar though, yes, Mariners season has started, and
we're depressed.
we're depressed, but we go. So
but we're still dying.
A lot of our weekends are going to be consisting of Mariner games and other activities.
Cubbies next weekend.
Anyways, yes, Cubbies next weekend.
But yeah, anyways,
going back to the NBA, we're going to talk more about that first place chase in a little bit. The Wolves are down 16 right now
against your Suns.
Going into the 4th against the Suns.
We have it in the background.
Yeah, this is a good game going on.
Absolutely.
But I think the Thunder, having them rest those 2 is probably the smart move. I'm going to be really curious to see who they get matched up with going into the playoffs and how they're going to play in that first round. We both know that if the playoffs were to start right now, it'd be a first round matchup between the Thunder and the Suns.
Yeah. Denny, how do you feel about that?
So back on March 17th, they had a really bad loss to the Bucks on a Sunday, national TV. They gave up 140 to the Bucks. The Bucks dropped 24 threes. This is all without Giannis.
Yeah.
And the lack of defense has just been a topic of discussion all year. And at that game, they didn't look connected. Their body language was pretty poor on defense. It looked like they were dragging. It looked like they didn't have anything left. KD had a bad game that game. And so at that point, I was expecting for the worst with the Suns, and I was pretty frustrated. But since then, they've picked it up. They've been battling to stay out of the play-in. They're 7-3 in their last 10, but they have the toughest remaining schedule out of any of the teams. They got the Pelicans, they got the Clippers back to back, the Kings, and the Wolves. So it's time for them to lock in. They start games off great with ball movement, aggression, intensity. They play well as the game goes on, specifically in the fourth, which I've talked about before. They steer away from all that team basketball and they begin to have too much isolation. They're relying on, their superstars to make all the moves, but they got to just move the rock and find the open man. to answer the question though, if they play well in these last 3 to 4 games, I will feel confident going into the postseason.
Playing damn well right now.
They're playing really well right now
And
against the Wolves.
That helps out my Thunder too. So, I'm all for it.
I think they started this game like 15-0. So they've been looking good tonight. Katie's been playing well. The rest of them are. Yep. We're going to be recording another episode before the playoffs start.
Absolutely.
So I'll be updating us then whether we're going to be in the play-in or we're going to be having a series guaranteed. So I'm hoping we really stay out of the play-in, especially we're going to talk more about the play-in, but the teams currently in there right now, it's going to be really competitive, really tough. So I want them to be able to stay out of there. And so, we'll see how these games go. Hopefully they stay out of it, and we'll be able to, update going into the playoff preview. You have any thoughts on the Suns, how they've been looking, or anything to expect going in these last couple of games entering the postseason?
I mean, I texted you this, but I hope for your sake that the Suns don't play the Thunder until the second round, because literally Josh Giddey fucked on them and won by 20 plus not too long ago, about a week ago. That was without Shea. I think J-Dubs was in there still.
That might have been their most recent loss.
That was the first game without Shea and J-Dubs, I think.
Yeah, and so, that was a tough loss.
Yeah.
That was brutal. So,
I mean, other than that, that's probably, besides the game we're watching right now and that game, I haven't really watched them as much, but I think when I'm looking at the other people around them, I think they're better than the Warriors, because the Warriors are 10th right now. That play-in.
Yep.
If I'm just looking at the play-in mainly.
Yep.
Lakers, I think they're better than the Lakers.
Yep.
And the Kings, that's a maybe. I think that would be the best matchup from a basketball fan. Strictly from a basketball fan. Yes. I think that'd be a really fun matchup. And the Pelicans would also be a really fun matchup. So it's like, I think they're on the same level as everybody from the Mavs to the Kings. And I think obviously you have that playoff experience with KD. You have Bradley Beal, you have D-Book in there. D-Book made it to the Western Conference Finals not too long ago with CP3.
Yep.
So it's like more success than KD's had in recent years, even though KD has those finals with the Warriors. But I think it's a good team. Grayson Allen's really surprised me this season in general. I'm really good he stepped up, especially in times of absence of so many injuries with Bradley Beal and D-Book and just on and on and on. So the thing is Nurk's going to have to step it up against every single big man in the West.
Yeah, that's going to be some big matchups for him. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think he'll do fine against Chet, because I'll be honest, Chet's not being a big body. Yep. He's being disruptive, but he's obviously, Nurk is definitely bigger bodied, and he can definitely do good against Chet. But T-Wolves, he's not gonna outperform Rudy Gobert, and Cat comes back, he's not gonna do that. Nuggets, definitely not gonna outperform Jokic. Clippers, I mean, when Zubac is on. Like, I think he's a better player than Zubac can do. Pelicans, you got big boy Zion down there, and you have Vucevic down there as well.
Valanciunas,
excuse me. Other way around. Vucevic. I always mix them up, dude. I always mix them up. But yeah. And then Sabonis on the Kings, dude. I don't know. It's tough. But with every single team has their holes. I don't think necessarily Nurk being your weakest position right there is not necessarily bad at all.
Yeah.
Nurk's still pretty good.
Pelicans lost tonight against the Spurs.
Massive.
That's their third loss in a row. They've been falling as of late, not playing as good. And the Suns have been doing the opposite. They've been playing better. So hopefully they can secure a win tonight. Yeah. The Suns and the Pelicans are tied right now. So they're both 8 games back. So they need to start to create that separation a little bit, work their way up. The Mavericks also have been playing insanely good basketball as of late.
They just beat the Warriors by 2 tonight.
Wow.
By 2 points. It was 106 to 108.
And there was no Luka.
And no Luka.
They did that without Luka. Yeah, Luka and Kyrie have been on a tear together. This team at one point was in 8th, and now they're in 5th. Yeah. And the Clippers are another team that have been kind of struggling as of late. And if they're not careful, the Mavs are catching up to them right now. They're only 2 games back from the Clippers. So the Mavs have clicked at the right time, which is ironic because a year ago, this team was fighting to get into the play-in and then decided to rest Luka and Kyrie And
got
I remember,
fucked.
and then they got knocked out, and I was sitting there like, why the fuck are you resting these guys? You
Yeah.
just don't want to get into the playoffs. And so
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I didn't know what to think of this team coming in this year. And Luka's been putting up crazy numbers, and Kyrie's starting to click. And now they got these new guys with PJ Washington and Gafford to, help their front court out. So they've been looking like another good team. But yeah, hopefully the Suns can keep playing well and kind of create that separation in these next few games. And I didn't realize they're all coming up pretty quick. So
Yeah.
we're in go mode. This is time.
Yeah, it's best time alive in the NBA, honestly, is because you get to see, obviously besides the playoffs itself, I think it's more fun to see sometimes because you're really battling for seeding. You still get to see all these people even eliminated, these San Antonio Spurs last in the Western Conference Finals, putting up a fight against the Pelicans. That helps out, that helped out the Suns tonight. That helped out the Mavs and stuff like that. So, like, it's fun to see right now because you have even the shitty teams are doing good against some teams that, that could really make it play a difference in how the playoffs is going to happen. That could really make a difference in who the championship is. It could make a difference on just series to series as well. So,
yep,
it's a fun time to be alive right now in the NBA.
Yes, it is. Let's go into takeaways from the season, Matt. Let's start off with you. I want to hear 3 of your biggest takeaways from the season.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So I know we're both going to talk about just the offense. The scoring this year is insane. You see the average margin of games is like way higher, and you see a team of like the Lakers who they're averaging now they're averaging more right now than what they did when they won a championship, and yet they're 8th in the league right now. It's just like, it's kind of a crazy, or 9th.
Yep.
So it's like you see that offensive switch of one just scoring more, but also I don't think it's necessarily a lack of defense as much either. I think it's just people are just so much more efficient. And so it brings me my first point mainly. It's just there's just better basketball players all around in this league. I think you can find basketball players deep and wide across the country. You can find them in the NCAA tournament that make their stars just like that. You can find them literally at community colleges or D2 schools even. You have a guy like Malachi Flynn, who was part of a 16 straight losing team on Washington State University back in 2016, transferred to San Diego State, and just set a record in the NBA for lowest career average going into a first 50-point game, who just dropped 50 points this last week or a day or two ago against the Atlanta Hawks while losing still, while playing for the Pistons. Go Cougs, ball on 25 shot attempts, 50 points. He's a baller. But that's what I'm saying is literally just, you can find so many random stars in the rough right now, and it's insane. Like, even with the Thunder trading away Vasilije Micic and Trey Mann, they both, as soon as they got to Charlotte, balled off. Like, you just having so many random people come out, different stars. Nobody expected J-Dubs to be what he is right now. It's just crazy. I don't think there's very many people. One, obviously, we know it's professional basketball association, so obviously people know their scouts. You're not in this league for nothing. But you can find the most random ass bench players to go out and play these stars, and you can trust them, And it's crazy. I can almost trust the ball in anybody's hands there nowadays in the NBA. I just think the world's just getting better at basketball in general. I just don't think there's that much of powerhouses anymore, and I think it's just really getting nearly even. So that's my first takeaway. Yep.
Let's go. We'll have you do all 3 of yours, and then we'll talk about them.
All right. Talking about better basketball players, I think one thing that's really stood out to me, it's kind of been developing, but right now it's just a brand new era for the big man role. The 7-footers are coming in. You have Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren, who are shooting threes. They're not just shooting threes; they're running their teams half the time. They're just setting up screens. They're not just all big men, because we grew up in the NBA where you saw Shaq, who was one of the greatest players of all time, top 10 all time probably, and he scored 1 3 in his entire career. He scored 1 3 on 8 attempts. And now you have the average, and we have Brooke Lopez who out here, who's just literally just a tall guy who can shoot threes like crazy from the corner. And you have Chet, who can shoot threes like crazy from the corner. He's shooting 39% from the season this year. And he was the first rookie ever to have 150 plus blocks and 150 plus made threes this year. That's insane. And so it's just, crazy to see, but it's also kind of affecting because college basketball is not nearly as that far advanced yet. Because you see, guys, people are talking about. So Zach Edey has easily been the best player in this tournament so far, but people don't even project him sometimes at a top 5, top 10 pick. It's just like a weird thing. Same thing happened with Drew Timme. He was literally one of the most dominant tall men in the NCAA, you know, and he's not even playing in the NBA right now. He was literally one of the best players of all time to play in the tournament. Top 25, in my opinion. I'm a Zach fan. I'm biased. I get that. But it's just the big man role is not, yes, you're expected to get rebounds. Yes, you're expected to play defense with the blocks and everything like that. But your role is more versatile than any time that's ever been now. And I feel like I like it. Obviously, if Jokic, who's out here going crazy as well. I can just go on and on and on to players. You have Cat, who's freaking, you know, in the 3-point contest during the stuff. So the big man role, that's my biggest takeaway this year is like, I think the big man era is officially here where they're like the biggest stars this right now is the big men, in my opinion. So all props to the big men.
Yep. And let's hear your last one.
And just so like 2 big positive like takeaways. Kind of want to go maybe not necessarily negative, but I just want to talk about Adam Silver a little bit on where he's taking this league for good or for worse. And I don't know what that is. He's been trying to mix things up here and there with the the All-Star. And honestly, this last All-Star was kind of a fail. But one thing that I did like, which I think is actually massive, we didn't talk about earlier, but was bringing Sabrina Ionescu in versus Steph. I know it's literally just a social media thing, but it's actually massive what women's basketball is doing right now. They literally the Final Four game, or no, Elite 8 game, 12 plus million views, like what people watching. Caitlin Clark. Like, it's insane what women's basketball is doing. And so I'm just kind of looking at Adam Silver and saying, what are you going to do here? You know, you got to do something to like you can't. I mean, it's all props to women's basketball. I'm not going to take away what they've done. And it's amazing. Caitlin Clark's amazing. But like, you're not going to all of a sudden let an Elite 8 game of the March Women's Madness take over viewership of the finals. You got to do something. And so I just really question Adam Silver sometimes and what his plans are. Obviously, my favorite plan is Adam Silver is hopefully bring my fucking Sonics back. And if I don't see that in the next 2 years, then off with his head. So that was another big thing. I just don't know. In-season tournament was another thing that was new this year with Adam Silver, which I have mixed feelings about because apparently it actually did bring in some good ratings and did bring some pretty good competitive basketball. But like, at what cost? I don't know. And I've kind of talked about this now. Trent's going to give me shit later for this. I don't care. Lakers won the in-season tournament. Where are they now? They're 9th in the freaking West. You know, it doesn't mean shit. So it's like, I don't know. It's very different. Very early in the season. It's so crazy. Feels so long ago. I don't know if that's just a money thing for them or what, but I don't know. I question Adam Silver and just what this league's going to do, either stick to the fundamentals or what, just to go forward from here, just to make it great, you know, but people play basketball.
NBA as of late has struggled with viewership. And, you know, it's mainly because of, you know, there's a sense that the regular season at times is somewhat boring.
Yeah.
Players are not necessarily given 100%, you know, every night. Sometimes the games are blowouts, you know, on national television. It's like, why would I watch that game on ESPN? And there's been a lot of changes. Adam Silver has tried to bring a lot of, you know, different rule, whether it's a rule change, a format change, a player change, anything like that. There's been a lot of changes. I can't say whether they're necessarily working or not. I think the competition, at least in the Western Conference, has been better this year throughout the regular season.
Yeah.
Which probably has helped a little bit, but I don't know exactly how much. And it's like you said, I mean, the All-Star weekend events are pretty uneventful. Like, you know, the whole skills challenge that they've turned it into now, and like the whole weird like 3-team thing. You know, they're trying to change the format year to year, and I don't think any of it's working.
No.
And even the All-Star game itself, People aren't really watching. It's boring. There's no incentive. There's nothing to
I don't
make
I don't need to
competitive.
see Dame just pull up and have court
Right.
20 times.
Right. And I don't know what needs to be changed or what needs to happen, but something needs to happen, and so that'll definitely be a conversation of for him going into the offseason, and we'll see how he responds this next year. But I want to go also talk, when you were talking about the big man role, the new era of it, I think you hit that on the money. Teams in the game in general, you're used to seeing a pick and roll where the guys roll into the hoop for a dunk or a layup. It now is evolutionized to the pick and pop.
Yeah, that's the pick and pop.
Pick and pop. I mean, whether it's a mid-range jumper, 3, it's usually a 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's become very deadly because now the defense has to worry about him, and it's taking all the pressure. It's taking less pressure off the point guard, who now can kind of exploit that and can drive if all the focus is going to be on that shooter out at the 3. It also takes the big man out of the paint as a defender, allows for more opportunities to score in there, taking the defensive rim protector presence out of there. And it also leads to that big man, which we've seen now with guys like Jokic. Sengun is starting to do it. The big man, they have the ball out the 3 and they're starting to play make.
Yeah.
And it's easier to play make going into the paint when there's not a big man presence down there. And so that has definitely changed the game. The 3-point shot is so evolutionary now. And I agree with you too when you were talking about the evolution of the game, the scoring. Teams are dropping 150, 140 in a game. That's all-star game numbers.
Yeah.
And teams are doing it on a regular basis. And what I've seen too from this year, no lead is safe anymore. No lead is safe. You could be up 20 with more than halfway through the third. Next thing you know, you're down 5 with like 2 minutes left in the fourth.
Yep.
It's absolutely crazy. And part of that evolution is also the 3. We're talking a lot about the 3. This year, the NBA average for threes per game is 13 made threes on 35% shooting. Those are both the highest in NBA history right now. It's absolutely crazy. And then another aspect, which you were talking about too, is all the talent we have in the league, individual scoring. We have 14 guys right now that are averaging 25 or more a night.
That's insane.
10 years ago, 3 players were averaged over 25, and the highest was 28.
And that was MVP.
And the MVP was 20. I think it was 28, and that was Russ.
Yeah,
Russ was averaging 28, and then there was 2 other guys averaging 25. And now you look, and now the highest guy is Luka, averaging 34. And there's 14 guys that are averaging 25 plus. So you just look at all those numbers, and it really just shows how much just scoring is evolving. There's just a lot more, fundamentals to it. High IQ plays. It's crazy. And so those were, so that first one, team scoring or evolution of scoring, is what I had for a takeaway.
Yeah.
And then another one I had, which you kind of did talk about too, is the future of the NBA is in good hands. There is so much young talent in the league. I mean, some of our best players right now are not even 23 years old.
Yeah.
22 years old. You look at guys like Tatum. I mean, I think he's 26.
Tatum
maybe?
and SGA about 25.
Yeah, like it's absolutely crazy. And a perfect example of that is looking at the Western Conference now, looking at all that competition.
23, 24.
Yeah, like every team now has, you essentially could have a duo, and a lot of them have a young duo. One of my favorite duos being the Kings duo right now of Fox and Sabonis. That's a great young duo. But the NBA is in great hands, man. There's so much young talent. Definitely an exciting time in the league. And it's going to make these playoffs a lot of fun to watch. And my last takeaway I kind of have, it's kind of broad, but it's that, any team can go on a heater at any given point in the season. We've seen a lot of teams go on like 7, 8, 9 game win streaks this year. The Jazz did it at one point. The Rockets just did it. The Hawks, the Heat, the Magic, all these teams that you wouldn't think necessarily would do that are starting to click at points in the season. And I think it starts with, it's team basketball. It's trusting your teammates, playing team basketball. It's good ball movement, staying away from the isolation basketball, relying on the superstars. It's all the chemistry. And when you take away that stuff, that's when teams struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
everyone's got to be working as a cohesive team. You got to be clicking, and teams like, the Clippers right now are struggling. They're not being a cohesive team. I talk about it a lot with the Suns, specifically in the fourth quarter. Not a cohesive team, too much isolation ball. And so it really just shows the importance of team basketball, trusting your teammates, having some sort of set, something, it really makes a difference in these games.
Yeah.
And it's going to be important coming down the end of these games.
Absolutely.
Trusting the team rather than going isolation ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
I just want to talk real quick about dynasty, the word.
Yeah.
We grew up with dynasties.
We did grow up with dynasties.
Basketball's grown up with dynasties. Bill Russell, Celtics in general, Magic and Bird. Or you have Lakers dynasties. You have the Celtics dynasty with the Bird. You have the Bad Boys dynasty with the Pistons. You had obviously the Bulls, 90s, absolute tears. You had the dynasties of the Spurs, Tim Duncan and those guys. And then you had dynasties most recently with the Warriors. And then technically the Cavs, I guess you also say it was kind of a dynasty for a little bit there. I personally have a feeling that dynasties are coming to an end, because we haven't had a back-to-back repeat since the Warriors, right? So, are dynasties dead, or is there a new dynasty coming? What's your thoughts?
The NBA has become such a business.
Yeah.
In this generation, it is just such a business, and so at the end of the day, whether it doesn't matter at this point how successful your team was. You could be out the next year. You could win a ring, and the way I look at it, I'd be like, if I won a ring, I would want to stay with that team and try to do that again. But guys win rings, and then they're given the opportunity to make more money somewhere else, and that's what they do.
Yep.
And it's become so much more of a business than what it was probably back then when dynasties were still a prominent thing. We saw them in each era kind of coming up to this point. I do think dynasties are going away. I don't know how. I don't know if there's any teams, and there's one team in the league that I think is building a dynasty and has set themselves up for it. But the rest of the league, I don't see it happening. But that one team, is the Thunder. I do see a dynasty kind of potentially forming with them. It's a little early, but I do see a dynasty potentially forming, and they set themselves up with all their picks they have coming up all the way through
2032 or something like that.
Something like that. So they seem to be having a plan where they're trying to do that. But with the rest of the league, with just the money now and the business side of it,
Jazz are kind of geared up a little bit with picks, but they don't have besides Lowry.
Yeah, they would need
have
kind of
a really set in stone person.
They would need to they would need to really build around him.
I've never had SGA from the gate since they started the rebuild.
Right.
Getting rid of Russ and PG. So
right.
I guess we'll see what happens with Jazz, but they've been busy in the trade market too. Not Sam Presti obviously set a benchmark of wow, we're fucked against these guys. So Utah Jazz are kind of trying to do the same deal a little bit.
I think
people are slowly starting to go that way. Rockets trying to do a little bit too.
Yeah.
So,
and I think there's a difference too between dynasties and super teams, as they like to call them. Dynasties, besides the Warriors when Kevin Durant was there, dynasties
success built up.
Is success built up.
Yeah.
Whereas now teams are trying to make super teams where they're trying to pair 2 or 3 guys together and just have it, work.
Guys that can already win a championship without
guys that have either won it or can win it on the with their own team.
Them.
They try to put them all together and say, hey, you guys need to work together and go win a ring. And now you're having 3 head honchos having to learn that only one of them can be the head honcho and 2 of them got to sit in the back seat.
And it's been seen the Clippers with that, in my opinion, a little bit. So
we've seen it work potentially with teams. We've seen it, not where we look at the Brooklyn Nets with KD and Harden and Kyrie and how many games they played. I mean, I think it was less than 40, and then they had Ben Simmons there. So dynasties are built up super teams are just kind of thrown together.
Yeah.
I think we are starting to, fall away from the dynasties and moving more towards super teams where they'll go out, try to recruit anyone they can in free agency, try to make a big time trade, and pair 3-4 guys that they think they can go chase a championship.
Yeah.
And it's just a different era. Different era.
It's
crazy.
kind of weird.
It is kind of
I
weird.
guess we're getting older. We're 25 and 24 respectively. Well, I'm almost 24, but not important about age. But we're in our mid 20s respectively, and so it's kind of weird seeing that passing of the torch kind of deal happening. We grew up watching LeBron, Kobe, fucking Dirk Nowitzki, watching Tim Duncan.
Those fucking Spurs teams, man.
Those Spurs teams brought me fucking nightmares.
God damn.
Growing up to watch the Thunder's teams losing to the Heat, fucking D Wade, and
getting knocked out by the fucking Grizzlies in the first round.
Fucking
all my friends texting me,
OG Mike Conley,
fucking Zebo.
Man. OG Mike Conley then.
OG Mike Conley, Marc Gasol.
When he's good.
Jeez.
But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's very weird, very different time of basketball. I know we're both growing up, but like it's weird to see the transition. And I feel like we're right in the middle of it, and it's weird that we're kind of noticing it. But like, people will probably be talking about these moments right now, 5 years from now. It's like, when did the NBA change? And I think we're in that moment right now. And it's kind of weird to think.
Yep.
So yeah. Yep. So it just kind of brought to my head because I know we talked about it a little bit, but yeah,
new dynasties. Era. New era of basketball is entering the NBA. But yeah, I mean, I think overall it was a really great season. There was a lot we learned, and I'm excited for the years to come for the league.
Suns are up by 10.
Come on now, let's get it. Let's finish off the episode talking about playoff positioning.
Yep.
Play-in positioning specifically right now.
Yep.
Looking at the West, I mean, we see these 4 teams. It's the Pels, the Kings, the Lakers, and the Warriors. The Pels, Kings, and Lakers are all a game and a half back from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Kings also lost tonight to the Celtics. I don't believe the Lakers played tonight. Looking at their schedules, I have their schedules pulled up here. The Pels and the Kings actually play each other the last game of the season here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lakers play the Warriors the last game of the season. Looking at these 3 teams, looking at these 3 teams, 7 through 9, do you see any movement, or do you see it staying like this?
I know you'd hate to hear me from this, but I mean, I think the Suns could easily fall down there and mix it up between the Pels and the Kings. I think the Lakers and Warriors are for sure easily 9 and 10. And that's weird saying that because the Kings are literally tied with the Lakers right now.
Probably half a game back, maybe tied. Yeah, might be tied
with right now.
Yeah,
and so, but one loss of the Suns and Pelicans can reclaim that 6th spot. That's what's crazy to think. Which they're winning right now, so good. Knock on wood. But I think Clippers.
So you think Lakers and Warriors stay?
I think Lakers and Warriors stay.
Yeah,
9 and 10.
Do you think the kid? Oof.
But
man.
Between 6, 7, 8, that I just don't. Any 3 of those guys can end up very different.
Pels are on a 4-game losing streak. I want to correct myself from earlier. I said 3.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Also, talk about the Rockets real quick for the fact they went on a 10-game winning streak.
Jalen Green was playing out of his mind, man. He had that kid. And he went fucking insane.
Yeah.
He had that kid and he went insane. Now they're on a 4-game losing streak, so they cooled off. But man,
that sucks.
I will say I'm excited for the Rockets in the coming years. I think that's a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Sengun too. Sengun hasn't even been playing during that win streak. And they have the veteran presence of Fred VanVleet. Ahmed Thompson's getting better.
Bitch ass.
If Jalen Green plays like he's been playing the whole, like he has recently, if he does that a whole season, I'm excited to see what this Rocket team does.
Yeah. But yeah, as we were saying though for the plan, I don't think 6, 7, and 8 are set in stone. And you know what? Lakers could surprise me. They could be probably part of that mix. I didn't realize they were literally the same record as the Kings, but like, I don't think so.
I'm looking at the Kings and the Pels. I'm looking at their last 3 games for their schedule. The Kings play Brooklyn, but then they play the Thunder and the Pels.
I mean, Thunder aren't healthy right now,
And then the Pels play the Suns, the Blazers, and the Kings. So that Suns game is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And then that game against the Kings will be huge too. I don't know. I think I see the Kings staying at 8.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to tell with how close these guys all are. But realistically, I would see these 4 staying here. So then it would be the Pelican. I'm being optimistic here.
Yeah, I know.
So then,
It'd
be the Pelicans versus the Kings, and then the Lakers Warriors. First off, well, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about once we have solidified play-in games. We'll talk about our predictions for those.
Okay, deal.
Yeah. But I'm gonna be optimistic. I think the Suns have been playing a lot better as of late. I think they're gonna figure it out. And I think that these are going to be the 4 teams.
They're up right now. So.
Yep. I think these will be the 4 teams in the play-in going into the Western Conference playoffs.
Yeah.
Let's go look over at the East, though, really quick. So we can already guarantee that the Bulls and the Hawks are going to be 9 and 10 in this.
They clinched the playoff. Yeah.
Yep. And then I think really the whole topic of conversation is 6 through 8. Which is the Pacers, Heat, and the Sixers.
What's so crazy to me is that the Celtics are the only one that's even clinched.
Yeah.
Celtics are the only one that's even clinched, technically. I mean, they already know who's playing in the play. I mean, we know who's playing the playoffs. Like, no one else has clinched anything else. Oh my gosh, so weird. But anyways, sorry.
Sixers are on a 3-game win streak right now. They have Embiid back.
Yeah, they shouldn't have won the first game, but of that 3-game win streak.
That Thunder game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be bitter. That's bitter or whatever you want to call it. I mean, we lost the game. It was our fault, but like we were winning that entire game.
Yeah.
So they want to feel good on JoJo dropping 20-something points and losing to a SGA J-Dubs list team in the last minute of the game, and go ahead. I don't care. Like, I know I ain't going to be seeing y'all in June, so I don't care. Heat 6-4 in the last 10.
The Heat and Pacers do play each other. That's their next game. So that's a very big game for me.
Honestly, I think it's like solidified what the playoffs are going to be right now. And I think Pacers and Knicks might switch, but I think Sixers and Heat are like locked in for the 7-8.
I'm very curious about those two because I'm looking at both their schedules the rest of the year.
Yeah, go.
The Heat, so they're going to play the Pacers, and then they play the Hawks, and then they play the Mavs. And the Sixers' last 3 games are the Grizzlies, the Spurs, and the Pistons.
Oh my God.
So
that's the Sixers last
3? Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm looking at that and I'm like, so the Sixers, I'm like, are the Sixers gonna flip then? The Heat and the Sixers flip potentially.
The Pacers are gonna beat the Heat.
So do you think
this is maybe, I don't know.
Do you think that the Sixers and the Heat then will be in the play-in? Do you think the Pacers will stay on it? So there'll be those two.
I think Pacers and Knicks are still
and they'll be fighting for just play-in then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
I think with the amount of games left, I think you're probably right. I think it's probably those two just fighting for play-in.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see that the Sixers are down in the play-in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't speak too much for me because JoJo's out for forever, but like, I don't know. Is that full? I mean, that doesn't make me confident for them in the playoffs, though. You can't just have your entire back on JoJo.
I mean, we've seen what they've done in the playoffs,
Yeah.
He hasn't necessarily...
He hasn't done much.
He hasn't necessarily had the best success in the playoffs.
MVP to show for what?
Yeah. But what is it? April 16th is going to be the first set of play-in games, I think. So that's in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy. really quick before we wrap things up, I just want to go look back at the race for first in the West.
Yeah.
This is absolutely crazy, dude.
Who would have thought?
This is absolutely
Who
crazy.
would have
Who would
thought?
have thought? The Wolves, the Nugs, and the Thunder are all a game within each other.
The Wolves and Thunder literally played each other in the play-in last year, and now they're
That's crazy to think.
fighting for the
Now they're
top.
fighting for the top spot. So how would you say the tiebreaker works for this? Who has the tiebreaker over who?
Thunder have the tiebreaker over the Nuggets.
Okay.
Nuggets have the tiebreaker over the T-Wolves. T-Wolves have the tiebreaker over the Thunder. It's weird.
Shit, dude. I was looking at their schedules, all three of their schedules, for the last 3 games. You know the Thunder's schedule for the last 3. You guys play
this
You play the Hornets,
easy.
and then you play the Kings,
Man, not so easy.
and you play the Spurs.
And Spurs
A little Chet Wemby action,
last time.
and then the Wolves are playing the Lakers, the Wizards, and the Nugs. So 2 out of those are gonna be tough. And then the Nugs play the Hawks, the Jazz, and the Wolves.
So who do I?
So the Nugs and the Wolves are gonna be playing
So
each
I want
other.
the Nugs to beat the Wolves.
You want the Nugs to beat the Wolves.
And then we're playing who? The Hornets.
You guys are playing the Hornets, the Kings, and the Spurs.
I think we can. This Kings one's the only one I'm worried about.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about the fucking Spurs. Spurs have been actually pretty damn good lately. I'll be honest.
They've been playing good basketball.
Even though they're literally lost in the West, but
Yeah. You're not worried about the Hornets?
no.
You're not worried about Vasile Micic having a revenge game?
I love those guys, but no, I'm not worried. Even you could take Chet off to Florida, I'd still be happy. I might eat shit for that saying later, but for now I'm pretty confident in that saying.
Yeah.
The stats back me up there. But it's kind of tough for OKC just without having Shea and
The
J-Dubs
injuries
out.
right now are a little tough. Yeah.
So where this ends up, it's literally any 3 of these guys could. That Nuggets and T-Wolves game is going to be massive.
It might come down to that.
I think that's literally all it's going to come down to.
It might come down to that game. Yeah.
And I don't know if that'll be played. That's what's crazy. So if we have to beat the Kings. Let's say we beat the Kings and the Kings and the Hornets, right? And that game is big. Oh, well, it's gonna be big no matter what.
That's the last game they're playing.
But we
April
could
10th.
end up in second or first because of that game. But we could stay in the third because of the game too. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. This is exciting times though.
Yeah, I love it.
Like we said, less than 2 weeks until the play-in. We'll definitely be coming back out with another episode before the play-in and playoff start with all of our predictions. It's good to get back on the mic though.
Yes, it is.
It's been too long. As always, but thank you all for
We've been busy. It's
listening.
Right.
Yeah, thank you all for tapping in. We appreciate all your support.
Please continue. I know I've been trying to get more on social media, but let's hear it. Keep going more. Interact with us. If you have any suggestions, let us know.
Always looking for a producer.
Always looking for a producer.
Compensation can be discussed accordingly.
I'm trying out here so hard. I'm looking at YouTube videos. I'm doing my best. It's tough sometimes.
Let us know what content you want to hear. We know that the season's wrapping up, but we're definitely going to try to keep, getting episodes going throughout the off season about various topics. Definitely going to be a good time to have more guest speakers on, definitely in the off season. So any topics you want to discuss or anything you want to hear about, let us know.
Possible podcast about a different sport, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But let us know, guys. Instagram, the Bank Shot Degens pod. Oh no, just Bank Shot Degens. Same as Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Catch us here at Spotify if you're listening. If you're an Apple Podcast person, we are on theirs now. And I'm trying to get our YouTube up and going. Our full interview with Alexiano is on YouTube right now. Go look at that. Share it, post it. Alexiano's I love Alexiano. Please
Yano.
shout out Yano.
Yep. Thank you all for tapping in another episode. We'll be back soon with play-in and playoff predictions.
Peace.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.